Hello again, this is Bob Buckley at True 32 Corporation, and this is the second tutorial on KCD and the True 32 cabinet library utilizing our quick start jobs. So let's just get right with one of these jobs. I'm going to come in here and open a job, and again they're listed here using numbers so that they're always at the top of the list for me. In this one we're going to do the we'll just use like a 9-foot ceiling where we are going to the ceiling, so that we can also, while we're showing this quick start job, we also can show the vertical frieze. So we'll use that quick start job there. And again, as I mentioned in the last one, you typically would want to come in here as soon as you open it, because what you've gained by opening that job is you've got these shop standards set like you want, moldings chosen, all of that. So here we've got a molding overlaps the cabinet by 22 millimeters instead of the standard minus 19. Normally in a face frame world, we're wanting to use our True 32 vintage crown floating above the cabinet 19 millimeters, thus the negative. Since this is asking for the overlap, we're wanting to negative that to raise it up 19 millimeters to make room for our flat frieze. In this case, we're actually with a frieze mold wanting to actually lap over or overlap this frieze by 22 millimeters. And you see here our flat frieze entries are zeroed out, and if we scroll down to our reveals, we'll see that we have that set to 67 for this 9-foot ceiling height. 67 is appropriate for the size of crown mold we would use in that application. When we go to 10 foot, we have to bump it up to 99 to be able to accommodate a 5¼ inch crown, if you want to use a larger crown anyway. So that's what we've achieved by opening the quick start job, is we already have the startup standards and moldings selected. At this point, ideally you would rename this job. I'm not going to save it, so I don't need to, but if you were actually starting a job, you'd want to rename that. So I'm going to draw a wall similar to what we did last time and kind of duplicate what we did with the other video tutorial on the quick start job. I'm going to come down to the tall cabinet group, and I'm going to choose tall applied left 3 vertical panel, and this time I'm going to say this is about 152 millimeters from the corner, just because depending on how big this crown mold is, it may not have something to return to if I don't make that space big enough. I'll be able to tell as soon as I drop it. And I had plenty of room to even stay back at 128. This is probably a 4¼ inch crown, face mount type crown here. Then we'll go get our oven cabinet, and this time I'll grab one of the new single oven cabinets, right of 1. We'll go ahead and convert those drawers. And then we'll get our top oven cabinet. I could have said centered on 2, but I said right of 1. And again, you see the cabinets are automatically positioned height-wise and the proper height. So the position and the height is determined by those startup standards of this bottom unit being 1764 or 1774. If you change this height for this unit in the startup standards, then it changes automatically the height of the upper cabinet. It just always will be right if you go ahead and take the time to set it up initially. So we've got, let's go ahead and put our other applied end on here, applied end right, and that is going to be right of 3. And now you see, I'm going to zoom in, not too tight because I want you to be able to see the things around it, but you see a gap up here above this cabinet. So, and if we turn the moldings off, one of the new options in KCD now allows us to just toggle the molding off, you see that my cabinet is going up that additional 67 millimeters above my doors. My hinges are positioned appropriately in the CNC world because of associative machining. In the manual world, it's still going to be, you're going to have a jig to position that hinge, but the hinge is still going to be bored equal distances from the top and bottom of the door, and you're just going to use different holes to position it. Your jig will have to accommodate for your frieze to position your hinge plates. You see we have this gap. Just so this shows well, I'm going to go ahead and turn the molding back on. And I'm going to come down here. As long as I'm in the same tall group, my tall frieze, and this is vertical versus flat. This one right here is flat. This one here would be vertical frieze. So I'm going to say I want tall frieze. It's 762 millimeters wide. And I'm going to say left of 4, which was that last applied in we set. And now you see that all the crown molding lines go away and it fills it in. If we look in from the top and zoom in, we have a vertical frieze flush to the front of the applied ends. And then when we look at it from face, it's filled in that gap. And now we have something. If we turn the moldings off, you can see that we're not going all the way to the ceiling. We're staying off the ceiling some, and this is for True 32 guys specifically so we can use our suspension blocks effectively. And also the ceilings could be out. So this is a very effective way of dealing with this application. So I'm going to turn my moldings back on and kind of move along here again, showing how these different groups also work as we did last time. Last time we were illustrating the staggered cabinets. This time we're to the ceiling, so we'll see that we can also have these alternate depths but not alternate heights. So we're going to go to our top cabinet group, and we're going to say we've got just a 762 millimeter traditional top cabinet, and it is right of 4. And while we're in this group, we want to go ahead and grab our light rail and frieze. So we'll say that's 762 centered on 6, and then we'll go ahead and grab our frieze, and it's also 762, and it is centered on 7. And then we'll go to our top alternate group, and this is going to give us a different height cabinet. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and grab now that's just that typical top cabinet will be fine. So we're going to grab a top applied left plus light rail, and we'll say that that is right of the 8 piece of frieze, and then we'll say we've got a top cabinet that's 762 and it's right of 9, and then we'll say we have an applied end right plus light rail that is raised panel, and it is right of 10, and then we'll grab our light rail, and it is 762 left of 11, and then we'll grab, and this is the appropriate depth. This cabinet is deeper, and this is at the appropriate depth, as will be this frieze, because we're coming from the same group. So we'll say that's 762, and it is centered on 12, which was the light rail we dropped earlier. So now if we look at this from overhead, you see we have a deeper cabinet, deeper applied ends. Everything is aligning based on those startup standards to work with this cabinet being deeper than this cabinet, but all the frieze positioning properly, being at the right height top to bottom, being at the right depth front to back. That's the point of these quick start jobs, is they bring you to or preset your startup standards for something other than your one initial startup standards. So if you have varying jobs, and in this case, our varying jobs are 3 versions of an 8-foot ceiling, 3 versions of a 9-foot ceiling, and 4 versions for a 10-foot ceiling. And you could have as many of them as you want. All you got to do is create a quick job and set all the standards and save that job with an appropriate name. It'll tell you that's what you want to do the next time, and you'll have that set up. So that's how the quick start job for going to the ceiling works. That's how our frieze works, and I hope that was helpful, and look forward to seeing you on another video. Thanks.